So Tasmania has endured a very prolonged period of strong winds and severe weather, and we had a very significant cold front cross the state last night, and that brought some destructive winds to parts of the north and west and damaging winds elsewhere. Some stations actually recorded their strongest gust in decades, so it was a very significant wind event. The winds have eased a little bit this morning, but we are seeing them increase again ahead of another significant cold front that will cross this evening. So this evening we will see those strong winds redevelop across parts of the north and the west, and we may even see some destructive wind gusts across the west coast and parts of the north coast and northeast elevated areas. That's most likely to be this evening and overnight tonight, with winds easing tomorrow morning. So we could see some more damage tonight. Luckily, parts of the southeast, including Hobart, are out of the warning area for tonight. So really the main risk is into the north and the west. We will see the winds ease tomorrow, and then we are looking at a few days of much lighter winds from Monday night and throughout Tuesday. With that significant cold front tonight, we are seeing some more rain move across the state, and we will see some high rainfall return to parts of the west and the northeast. So overnight tonight, we could see rainfall amounts of around 30 to 40 or 50 millimetres across parts of the western elevated areas into some saturated catchments. The heaviest rainfall is expected from around early this evening until just after midnight tonight. So I'll continue. So over the last few weeks, with these frequent rain bands and strong winds, we've seen a lot of rainfall into the west. Over the last 7 days, we've seen around, over 200 millimetres across many elevated areas in the west. So grounds are saturated, many dams are full and spilling, and streams have got high, elevated streams and high stream flows. So we could see some elevated, we are expecting to see elevated rivers over the coming 24 hours. So with the rainfall tonight and the saturated grounds, we do have a flood watch out for northern, northwestern, northeastern catchments. However, we do have a major flood warning out for the Derwent. It is likely we will see major flooding at below Meadowbank overnight tonight and during tomorrow, and we are likely to see significant flooding downstream of Meadowbank across Macquarie Plains and even down to New Norfolk over the next 1 or 2 days. And all the little streams and tributaries that flow into the Derwent are expected to have significant rises, and we may see flooding through those streams as well. In the north, there is a moderate flood warning out for the Meander, the Mersey, the North Esk and the South Esk. And with the saturated soils and the rain tonight, there is a chance we may even see the possibility of major flooding across some of those rivers over the next day or two. So please keep an eye on the warnings for that. In particular, we are monitoring closely the Mersey, where there is a slight risk we may even see major flooding over the next day or two.
Destructive winds from last night, which we spoke about yesterday, were they as bad as you expected? Did they reach, or did they exceed what you thought they'd be?
Yeah, I think we generally saw what we were expecting based on the impacts that we saw. We think the winds were generally pretty rare, and some stations, reported some of their strongest gusts on record. So Matt Syker, for example, reported a 187-kilometre gust last night. So that's a very extreme and rare wind gust.
Alex, just is this unusual for this time of year? I know that they're record winds, but these very unsettled weather events, early spring, is this unusual or not?
So usually we do see prolonged periods of strong winds at this time of year. It's generally a very windy time of year, and so Tasmanians are used to strong winds at this time of year, but these have been particularly rare, particularly the ones last night, where we did see some of those records break at some stations in terms of the wind gust. So yes, it is quite rare what we've seen last night, and potentially again tonight we could see some destruction. We're not expecting it to be as widespread or as intense as last night, but the potential is still there for some strong and dangerous winds tonight.
Have we seen the worst of it yet when it comes to flooding? Can we expect to see those waters recede within the next 48 hours?
No, we're expecting the waters to actually increase, so there'll be renewed rises, and we will see major flooding across the Derwent at Meadowbank and some significant flooding possible downstream of that over the next 24 hours. So the worst is to come in terms of flooding.
You mentioned the next few days. How far does the outlook go, and what does the weather look like there?
Yep, so in terms of the winds and the rain, the highest risk time is tonight, and we'll see the winds and the rain ease overnight tonight and tomorrow morning. It'll still be a pretty gusty day tomorrow, but we'll see the winds ease during the morning. Then we will have a couple of days of pretty settled conditions. However, just because the weather is settled doesn't mean that the rivers won't be rising, so we do have an enhanced flood risk over the next day or two, and major flooding likely across parts of the Derwent. Yeah, and just to continue to answer your question, so we will have a few days of pretty settled conditions from Tuesday and maybe Wednesday, but we do see some more cold fronts and perhaps some stronger winds return later on next week. However, at this stage, it doesn't look like they'll be as strong as what we've had over the last few days.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
Would you like to start with your statements? Maybe firstly summing up last night and
Yep.
then what we can expect moving into the next few days.
No worries. So we've had widespread wind and storm damage over the past 24 hours. That's been across the state, but in particular on the north, northwest and west coast. We continue to see the impacts of that. We've got minor and moderate flooding occurring across the state, and in particular we're concerned about the situation within in the Derwent River below Meadowbank. SES received 323 requests for assistance over the past 24 hours. A huge effort from our volunteers that have just done a fantastic job in just really difficult conditions. We continue to work through some of those requests. We've had to triage those because of the sheer volume, and we're going to continue to work through those today. We're going to see and potentially increased to damaging winds tonight, and a repeat of this, so it's something we continue to monitor, and our SES volunteers are ready to assist the community as required. Regarding the Derwents, the Derwent River below Meadowbank, there is a flood emergency warning that is active for people to prepare to leave in and around that area from Meadowbank down as far as Macquarie Plains. And so we are encouraging people to be ready to move as necessary and to really monitor those conditions.
Do you know how many residents are in, I guess, the firing line in the state?
Yeah, look, there's a lot of isolated residents right throughout that area. We've been doing proactive door knocking through the morning to make sure people are aware of the danger that it is coming, and hopefully that situates people and so they can make good informed decisions and not be there when potential flood waters and inundation comes in.
And of those 300 call-outs, were a lot of them in the New Norfolk and surrounding areas last night?
There were some in the south, but I would say a majority were in the north and northwest, but pretty broadly across the state there as well.
As far as volunteers are concerned, they've been going for the best part of 48 hours now, and I guess the work week starts tomorrow. How are we going? How are they holding up under the strain? Yeah, look, it's been a really just an amazing effort from the volunteers over the past 72 hours. A lot of these guys have been going since Wednesday. We've been very deliberate about rotating our crews, trying to force our crews to rest to make sure that they're not overly fatigued. And obviously it becomes an increasing challenge as we get into the work week with potential response. So that is something we're actively managing, but it's just amazing the work that they continue to do for their communities.
Those call-outs last night, what were they mainly about, and were there any that were particularly serious?
Yeah, storm-related damage, damage to roofs, damaged windows, but in particular fallen trees, and that's resulted in a lot of the power outages that we've seen across the state there as well.
If the decision's made to let some water go from the Meadowbank Dam, is there a chance that the New Norfolk Bridge or Lyell Highway will flood?
There could be parts of the Lyell Highway and New Norfolk Bridge. There could be parts of the Lyell Highway that may become inundated with the rising floodwaters over the coming week. That is something that we ask people to monitor and to make informed decisions if they don't need to be on the roads. please, don't be on them.
And is there a significant risk that low-lying suburbs in Launceston will flood?
It's something we continue to monitor at the moment. At the moment, it does appear that they're within tolerance, but it's we've got a very close watch on the situation as that develops within those river systems.
Hi, how you going?
No, we're good, thanks. Okay. Would you like to make a few comments firstly and we can jump into some questions?
Yes, so Jason Elmer, Commander of Southern District with Tasmania Police. In relation to the current weather event, from a Tasmania Police perspective, we've responded to almost 600 incidents in the 24 hours to 7 a.m. this morning, which is a significant increase in our normal daily activities, with quite a number of those obviously being related to the weather event. In relation to the Derwent Valley, we've currently established a police forward command post at New Norfolk and working with our emergency services partners to keep the community safe in that area. I'm aware there's a number of door knocks taking place. We're monitoring road conditions. We'll close roads where we need to and provide advice to the community. Our priority is the community safety, and we would ask the community to work with us in relation to that, to heed advice, to heed safety messages, not to go into these areas if you don't need to be there. Never drive through floodwaters. We ask the community to keep up to date with our latest warnings, and that can be obtained through the Tas Alert website or through the Tasmania Police website. So there's updated information in relation to the current situation, including road closures. So again, we just ask the community to work with us to ensure their safety, and we will be out and about with our emergency service providers to endeavour to keep the community safe.
What kind of role did winds play in those 600 incidents from police?
So quite a number of those jobs related to storm damage with trees and debris over the roads. I believe that the north and northwest probably got stronger winds than down in the south, but a number of those incidents related to the storm damage.
Any particular traffic crashes or things like that?
Since Wednesday, we've experienced a significant increase in the number of crashes. So we've attended a really significant number of crashes on our roads. And in relation to that, our message is drive to the conditions, which essentially means to slow down and drive with caution. We ask people to take a little bit of extra time to get where they need to go. In these conditions, ensure your headlights are on, increase the stopping distance between your vehicle and the vehicle in front of you, and just take a little bit of extra care. But don't be on these roads if you don't need to be there.
And do you know how long police are planning to, I forget what you called it, but be in New Norfolk for?
We've established a command post up there that will continue to have personnel up there until the floodwaters subside and there's no longer a risk to the community.
Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. Sean, for sure. Sean McGoldrick, Tas Networks. So we've been hit very hard overnight, particularly along the north coast and the west. We have currently over 280 outages and about 30,000 customers without power. We have 26 crews in the field today working hard to try and restore those customers, but I expect that we will have customers out overnight. Again, we're going to be hit tonight with more winds. I expect more outages. I would encourage people to stay away from any of our assets that they spot on the ground. It's important that you stay at least 10 metres away. We will attend and make safe. Our priority is safety, public safety and safety of our staff. So in the first instance, we'll make safe, and then we will restore power as quickly as we can. But this is going to go on for another few days as we repair the assets damaged by some extremely destructive winds last night.
Was Tas Networks prepared for 30,000 outages?
We, last Sunday, we had some forward information on the weather event from BOM, and so we declared an emergency situation and we got everybody we could ready for this. We were expecting over 10,000 customers out, and indeed it is more severe than that. So this is a particularly impactful event. But our crews are out there working hard, and I'd ask the public to remain patient with us as we restore power.
How long do you think it will be before everybody, those 30,000 have their power restored?
So over the last few days, we've been oscillating between 3,000 or 4,000 out, and then upwards of 10,000, then back down upwards of 30,000. It's not all the same people out all the time, and we do restore, but a number of those people would have had multiple outages. It's going to take us a number of days to get everybody back, especially as it's hard to predict what's going to happen tonight. So we'll see how it goes tonight, but we're out there flinging everything we have, our staff, our contractors, to bring power back as quickly and safely as we can.
And just for context, the 26 crews that are out there now, how many crews are possible to be out there? What percentage is that? So
that's our full capacity. Obviously, we rotate crews, and we'll be rotating 5, 6, 7 of those crews today because of fatigue. And a number of those have been working for a few days. So I expect that we will have more people come on board on Monday, and we'll keep rotating crews. Yesterday we had 24 crews in the field, so that gives you an idea of the scale of what we're doing.
Do you know how many of those 26 were in that north region?
Yeah, the majority of those crews are in the north. I believe 5 or 6 crews in the south that are dealing with some issues in the Huon Valley.
And the major issues here, trees on power lines, or are there other issues?
It's trees on power lines, it's vegetation flying into our power lines, it's clashing conductors, it's poles falling down because of the wet ground and the high winds.
And how long have some customers been without power? Are there periods of 24 hours or?
Unfortunately, yes. Some customers over 24 hours. We're focusing first and foremost on getting the largest group of customers we can back when we cure a particular outage. We're also focusing on especially vulnerable customers like life support customers. So we're concentrating on those, but it's likely that people will remain out for a period of time, possibly greater than 24 hours. I'd ask any vulnerable customers who we have not got to please try and seek alternative location. For a number of those customers, we have supplied generators and batteries to keep them going, but if anybody can seek alternative accommodation, I think it might be best at this stage.